So once you log in, this one at computer, I just close this one. Now this is very important, the registry editor. Make sure you hit yes and then OK. These two are very important to start our Stoll M1 Plus software. So once you are here, double click on this Connect to Class Share Transport shortcut folder and then open, and then this blank space at the bottom, you have to write your professor's name. In that case, today you have to write down my name, MD Imranul _ Islam, ISLAM, and then hit OK, and you can see there is a transport folder. By the way, the MD in my name stands for Muhammad. Now here in the transport folder, you can see there is a Dropbox folder. Inside the Dropbox folder, these are the folders I created for the future Stoll program, Stoll assignments. For today, you don't have to upload anything in the transport folder. So I'm going to close this down here. Once you have done all of this, now you are ready to open Stoll M1 Plus software. You can see this multicolor icon in the desktop. So I want you to double click here. Now this is our beginning page. Here are a number of things you have to do first. In your Mozilla Firefox browser, go to this 3-line tab at the top right corner, click on it, and then click on this extension arrow symbol to display the window in full screen. So now you have a little bit of a bigger display. After that, double click on here. Now to activate the Stoll Programs tool to facilitate your neat design. For me, I already have them displayed. So once you are in here, now go to the file, new pattern, in the new pattern display, you have to configure it a little bit. We will check information in the pattern name. We'll check information in the machine. And then we'll check information in the type of pattern. We'll check design pattern or technical pattern. We'll check fabric dimensions. And we'll check the start here. In the pattern name, you can put your name and lesson number. For me, it would be Imran _ lesson 1. Now inside this machine icon, you can see we have 3 Stoll knitting machines with different machine gauges in our CC21 lab. The first one is 5.2 gauge. It means it could be 10 gauge when it uses every needles in the machine, or it could be 5 gauge when it uses every other needle. Similarly, we have 6.2, which means 6 gauge or 12 gauge, and we have 3.5.2, which means it could be a 3.5 and 7 gauge machine. Definitely this one would be the finer gauge because it has 12 gauge here. Now if you look at this needle hook size of any of this machine, they all have a certain needle hook size to accommodate both gauges. That means it's half gauge or full gauge knitting. If I go here, so they do have a very specific hook size to accommodate for its half gauge or full gauge knitting. In actual situation, you have to select a specific machine before you start the design. But for today or any of our lessons, since we are not actually knitting anything, you can select any one of the three, or the machine is in the default setup. I'm gonna select this, the first one, and click OK. Now this is our machine we select for our design, today's design. Now the type of pattern would be panel or swatch, not the garment, and then select design pattern. In the fabric dimensions, this is the length. It represents the length of the fabric, and this one represents the width of the fabric. Do you remember in the midterm exam there is a true false question about if all things being equal, the more wells in the fabric you have, the wider the fabric would be, and the more courses in the fabric, the longer the fabric would be. Now this lengthway represents the number of rows, and which would be 200 for today's class, and this widthway represents the number of wells or number of needles, which would be 100. I have 100 here. Now the rest of the things are default here. You don't have to change anything. Now click on generate design pattern. So in here, you have to double click on this blue view bar to maximize the view. And all of your design work will be done in the symbol view. And this is your fabric view. Now, if two monitors are on in the lab for your computer, you can see symbol view on the left side and the fabric view on the right side. If only one monitor is on, and to have a zoom view, you can switch back and forth from this Windows tab. So fabric view, or the symbol view. Now this green band shows the left half of the machine to the center. Do you remember we have 100 wells or 100 needles? So 50 is half of our canvas or swatch. This left hand column represents we have all 200 rows in here. If you need to zoom in or zoom out, you can use this magnifying glass, or you can reduce this one here to have a better view. Now go to this tools tab, then program setting, then miscellaneous, and make sure you uncheck this activate mini tool window via mouse gesture. Now, and then hit OK. On the bottom left corner, this is your overview window. So it will show you where you are on the panel or swatch. This is your control view, this three red upper arrow symbol. This is your control view to refresh your fabric view. I will show you this one in a bit. On the top right corner, this is your module data, and these are the needle actions. Here are the pattern colors. Do not use these pocket shape colors. I repeat, do not use these pocket shape colors. Only use this square shape color. On the bottom right, now this one is your processing, steps of processing, and this one is called pattern presentation. On the bottom right corner, this is the properties of drawing tool window. Here you can see what color or which stitch are activated now. Let's see if I click on here. Actually not here. I'm gonna, for an example, if I select this one, and you can see this is here, this is your front stitch or knit stitch. And if I select a color, you can see the color is here. If I select this one, this is your rear stitch or purl stitch, and again this color is here. This is your float stitch or miss stitch, and this is your tuck stitch. So anything, any stitch you have or any color you have on your cursor, you can see them here in this drawing tool window. Now some housekeeping steps. These are very important. Some keyboard shortcuts you have to remember. Now on my cursor, I have both a stitch and color selected, as you can see here. Now if I'd like to do something else, or if I need to proceed further, I have to clear this cursor. And in order to do that, the shortcut would be Escape, and you can see there is nothing, and then Control D. So, and then you can see there is nothing is selected here. So Escape and Control D, make sure you remember these two things together to clear your cursor every time. If you have any tool selected, we'll talk about this thing, and let's say this tool is selected. If you hit Escape, it's not there, it's still there. So basically, in order to uncheck this one, make sure you click this square box here, rectangular box here, square box here, to uncheck any other tools you have on your cursor. Escape, Control D, this both shortcut is applicable for both Mac and Windows version, so you don't have to change anything. Now let's say I have a specific stitch to select. Let's say I'm gonna put it here. I'm gonna use it here. Now Escape, Control D. Now I just would like to select this stitch only, not the color. So I'd like to select this stitch. This is knit in the front and knit in the back, which is purl. So I'd like to select this one, but not the green color. I have to press F5 for Windows, and for Mac, Function plus F5 key, and then you can see I selected this one, and if I click here, you can see this is yellow color. because function F5 or only F5 for the windows, it will select only the stitch, not the color. Now I'm gonna do again. Now I'm gonna escape, Control D. Now if I hover over my mouse on the stitch and if I hit F6 for the windows or function F6 for Mac, and then you can see I only selected the color. The stitch is not here. So if I click here, you can see only the color you have. Now I'm going to clear my cursor again. Escape, Control D. Now let's say I would like to select both stitch and the color. So I hover over my mouse on this stitch here. So I press F5 and F6 for the Windows version, and for Mac, function key, I have to press my function key and then I hit F5 and F6. Now you can see here I have both stitch and the color selected, and I can paste this one. I'm gonna clean my cursor, escape, Control D. Now let's say I need to clean this entire panel, like everything would be yellow and this kind of thing. So I hover over my cursor here and I hit F5 and F6 for Windows, or for MacBook I press the function key and then F5 and F6, and then I paste by selection over this entire panel. Now it becomes the same thing, and then escape, Control D. Remember, escape and Control D every time you have to do something new. Now in this module data, your first one is called needle action. Second is called apply colors. These are the different tabs. Apply stitch length, insert module completely within border, insert module completely beyond the border, and insert module up to border. And we will talk details about them in our second lesson. Now select these modules of database, and then from this drop down menu go to the binding elements to have basic stitch. In here you can see blue stitches are loop with transfer and the green stitches loop without transfer. The V shape represents the knit stitch, and the A shape, the opposite of V shape, represents the purl stitch here. Now you need loop with transfer for jersey and purl fabric, and you need loop without transfer for reef fabric. Now I'm going to show you an example. So I'm using knit stitch. This is the knit stitch with transfer. Once I select this one, you can see here loop V with transfer, which is your knit stitch. Let's say I'm using red color. You can see the red color here. Then I click here and here. Now I'm gonna select purl stitch. Let's say I'm selecting the green color. Okay. Now I'm gonna select purl stitch without transfer. and you can see a dot here inside this loop. Now I'm going to show you the difference here. So I have to escape, Control D. Now I'm going to refresh my fabric view. Look, this is the third arrow in this third red color arrow. I'm going to click here. Now this will refresh the fabric view. Now if I go to the window and go to the fabric view, this is what you're going to see here. Now if I would like to make it bigger, make it here. I think this is so this is your face view, like the facet of the fabric, as you can see here. And then if I right click on here, and you can see view from back. Now this is the view from the back side, as you can see. Now you can see the difference here. Again, if I right click on here and if I uncheck this one, view from back, so this is your knit and purl. It's a jersey structure, and this is a rib structure. You have a knit stitch on the face, and it's missing, and that's the reason this is extended. In the back side, you can see purl stitch in the back bed needles. Now I'm going back to my symbol view, Windows, symbol view, and then I have to clean this panel. So for MacBook, function key F5, F6, or for Windows only F5 and F6. I'm going to clean this one. Now escape, Control D to clear my cursor. Now today we'll draw half Milano, half cardigan, full Milano, full cardigan structure here. Since these are rib fabrics, we'll be using only the green stitch, so loop without transfer. So for half Milano, we can go from here. As you can see, the loop without transfer, it has a dot, so I can pick from here, or I can, this is also knit in the front and knit in the back. So for half Milano, knit in the front and knit in the back. Knit in the back means purl. And for fit 2, you can pick from here, which is knit in the front and miss in the back. So this is your half. This is your half Milano. Escape, Control D. For half cardigan, you have knit in the front and knit in the back. Again, the same thing. But in your fit 2 for half cardigan, you have knit in the front and tuck in the back, which would be like this. This is your half cardigan. Now for full cardigan, you have knit in the front, tuck in the back, and in fit 2, tuck in the front and knit in the back, which is purl stitch. Now for full Milano, I have knit in the front and knit in the back, which is purl. In fit 2, I have knit in the front, miss in the back, and fit 3, I have miss in the front and knit in the back. So escape, Control D. Again, this is your half Milano. Milano comes with mis-stitch. This is your half cardigan. This is your full cardigan, and this is your full Milano. These basic modules are given here. However, from this stitch combination, you can create your own module. Let's say I would like to create a module for half Milano. So I have to select this half Milano and then click on module from the drop down menu, generate from selection, and then pattern element. Now if I go to this T-chart tab next to this modules of database, I'm going to click on here, and this is the module you can see I just created here, PE number 1, and these are the modules I already use from here or from this binding element. Now in order to recognize this one in the future, I have to rename it, and in order to do this thing, I'm going to select this one, right click, and then rename, so half Milano, and then enter. So this one is my half Milano. So every time I select this one, I'm going to selecting a half Milano repeat all together. So escape, Control D. Now I'm doing the similar thing for half cardigan, and full Milano. So I'm going to select this one, module, generate from selection, pattern element, and you can see here this is my new one. Rename half cardigan, enter, escape, Control D. Now this one, I'm selecting this one, module, generate from selection, pattern element. In here, rename, this is my full cardigan, enter, escape, Control D. Now selecting this one, module, generate from selection, pattern element. Now this is my last one, which is my full Milano. Select, right button, right click on my mouse, rename, full Milano, enter, and then escape, Control D. So now you can see I have 4 modules for all 4 of this structure: half Milano, half cardigan, full cardigan, and full Milano. Now I'm going to draw this thing here, but before doing this thing, I need a clean slate or clean canvas, and so I have to hover over on here and press function key F5 and F6 for Mac, and only F5 and F6 for Windows. Then I'm gonna paste everything here. Now this is a clean slate. I'm gonna reduce a little bit. Now I'm gonna make them smaller, and I have to escape, Control D. I'm gonna go to the very beginning. From this selection column, I select rows 1 to 20 by dragging my mouse, and always start on odd and end on even number. Now from this T-shirt tab, I'm going to select my half Milano pattern element, then activate my fill bucket tool, and then place this pattern element half Milano pattern element in the lower left corner and then click. Now the selected area is filled. Now escape, Ctrl D. Now I will spare next 20 rows. So from 21 to 40 there is nothing. And then I'm going to select again from 41 to 60, just dragging my mouse, holding my left button of my mouse and dragging it here, and then select half cardigan pattern element, select fill bucket and placing it from the corner, left bottom corner. Now this is filled, escape, Ctrl D. Again, escape Ctrl D cannot unselect this fill bucket. In order to unselect this one, I have to click this tool. So one of the toolbar would be always on your cursor. And then I'm going to skip next 20. So 61 to 80. And then I'm going to select 81 to 100 for full cardigan. So full cardigan, fill bucket, and the lower left corner, I have to place lower left corner. If I place in the middle, the repeat may not be complete. So make sure you start from the lower left corner, click on here, and then escape, Ctrl D, and this is your full cardigan. I'm going to spare next 20 rows. Now for full Milano, since full Milano has a 3 feet repeat instead of 20 rows, now we will select 24 rows. So we will be selecting from 121 to 144, 24 rows. Now select full Milano, fill bucket, and then click on this lower left corner, escape, Ctrl D. Now we already, as you can see here, so we have 4 band, like 4 yellow, green stripe. This is for half Milano, half cardigan, full Milano. Now I'm going to refresh for the fabric view. This is my fabric view. And if you go to Windows tab, and then you can see fabric view. And if I so this is my half Milano, then half cardigan, then full cardigan, and then full Milano. By the way, half cardigan and half Milano, they have a distinctive face and back. So if you look from the back side, well, you cannot see that much because it's the same color, but at least you have a little bit of understanding. So now I'm going to view from back. I'm going to go back to my symbol view. So up to this point, do not forget to save your work. So I'm going to save my work, and you will see a window pop up in your screen, and you can save your work on the desktop in this computer right now. So far we have completed our design part. Now we need to add cuff on this fabric. However, before adding cuff, I have to turn the entire thing in one color, and in that case I will change all colors to yellow, like this yellow, to have a one color fabric. And in order to do this thing, there are two ways I can select color. I can select color from here, this yellow, which is color number 31, and then this is the way I can select color. Or another way, escape, Control D, I believe you remember, in order to select the color, I have to hover over my mouse on this yellow and function F6 for Mac, or only F6 for Windows, and then you can see the color is selected. However, can you see I do have a fill bucket tool still selected? So how about I'm gonna go here. So I have now yellow color selected, and then this is the magic wand, and I'm gonna select this magic wand and hit on the area I would like to change the color. You see here the stitches are the same, only I'm changing the color. So entire thing, oops, I think I missed the first one. So entire thing is in one color now. Okay, so now I have one solid color panel. Now I have to escape, Control D, and then in order to get rid of the magic wand, I'm gonna click on this square tab. Now in order to add cuff, go to Edit, then Replace Stars. In this drop down menu, you can see you can have all different types of cuff selection. Let's say I'm gonna select 2x2 rib cuff for this fabric, and then hit OK. Now this is the thing you can see right now. Now I'm gonna use this fabric view, like refresh my fabric view. If I go to my window and if I look at my fabric view, and you can see this is my 2x2 rib cuff. Again, 2 knit, 2 purl, and entire fabric is same color. By the way, this rib, even though you can see in a different color, but we can select, so the rib color and the body color would be the same, but in the program it represents in a different color so that we can distinguish. I'm gonna go to my symbol view. So we just added our cuff here. Now don't forget to save again. Now I will show you how to add protection rows. Protection rows used at the very beginning of knitting. Do you remember when Norbert used a pickup fabric in our Lab 1 demo to start knitting? So after the first pickup, Norbert knitted some additional rows just to make sure that all needles are knitting correctly. The same concept is used in the Stoll machine. Instead of pickup fabric, it uses draw thread and then knit some extra rows for protection. In order to add protection rows, click on pattern parameters, then configuration, then inside this knitting areas tab, go to the first row, first drop down menu, and then select safety rows, FIT safety rows all needle, then hit apply and then OK, and then hit save again. Now in this segment I will show you how to combine colors or placing colors on Stoll machines feeders. And in order to do that, you have to click on this rainbow color yarn cone icon, and I'm gonna click on here, and in this window you can see our Stoll machines have 8 feeders. It has a left side designated by the letter A, the right side designated by the letter B, and you can see here A and B. Now if I click on this body, and this body, and you can see this yellow color will be used to knit the body. If I click on this scarf, which is gray color in here, this feeder 2B, and you can see here this yellow highlighted color 2B will knit the calf. If I click on this click on this here protection row, and you can see this 8A, like this feeder will knit this protection row. This feeder has comb thread, which is 2A. This feeder has draw thread, which is 1A. Now these two yarn colors, yellow and red, they need home. That means we have to assign them to the feeders. And you cannot see any A and B. So if I click here, so you cannot see any A and B here for this or for this one as well. Since scarf and body color should be the same, they both should be knitted by the same yarn from the same feeder. So that means this feeder and this feeder, these two need to be the same. Now if I select this yellow color, and you can see this yellow color is highlighted right now, the blue color represents this highlight portion. If I right click on this fourth column, which is yarn carrier number, I can see the yarn carrier numbers here. Now again, it should be the same as the rib color, so I'm selecting this one. I am left click to B, and I can see there is a plus sign, and then I'm gonna left click here, and then you're gonna see this yellow color will be here. Now this yellow color is here now. So that means the body color, now you can see this entire thing is selected. The body color and the rib color will be the same. Now for the red color, just drag and drop this red color on feeder 7 on the right, which is 7A, and then you basically assign all of your yarn. You don't have any other color here, and you are good to go. Now hit OK. Now make sure I'm saving it here. Now this is our final step. Now we have to make this design ready for the machine. That means we have to processing the design. Now one of the thing for Stoll, this Stoll M1 Plus software, it has a different programming language, and then in the machine it has a different programming language. There is a blue gear sign, and I'm gonna click on here, just single click, and then OK in this generate machine program. So this is all done, and you can see everything is changed here a little bit. So now this program is ready to need in the machine. So once we finish this one, I'm going to exit M1 Plus from here, the file, and exit M1 Plus. And then this is my today's file. Make sure you save this file in your local computer folder or a USB drive. And for some classes, you have to put in the transport folder as well. And after that, make sure you release the machine. So I'm going to log off here. I'm going to release my computer and then refresh list and make sure that nothing is using by, I'm not using any more computer anymore. I'll sign out.